Hi, it's Dorothy Guiney with Scrapbooking Quebec. Today I'm participating in the YouTube collaboration Stretch the Sketch. Every month we take a 12 by 12 sketch and alter it. Sometimes we shrink it, other times we stretch it. Anyway, one thing is certain, we definitely change it. Here's what we're using in January, and it comes from the Paper Bakery. My plan is to take this sketch and stretch it into a double page spread. In the description box below, you will find links to all the other participants so you can check out what they're doing as well. Here's what I'm going to be using, and it comes from my huge Scrappy kit for January. This part of my kit is based on the Photoplay Paper Heart and Home collection, and you can see I have a whole pile of homemade embellishments there as well. Now on my desk I have two sheets of 12 by 12 Basil Marshmallow cardstock. That's going to be my foundation page. I also have 4 photos that I matted in advance with that dark red paper. That's from the Heart and Home collection, and so is that small check paper in the navy blue. But in this kit, I also threw in that wood grain paper that comes from Jen Hadfield, The Avenue, and the lined paper that you see there, that is from Paige Evans' Go the Scenic Route. That's going to be my journaling box later on. Now I'm going to show you these stickers. That's from the Heart and Home collection. I don't end up using them. They are really lovely and actually quite general, but I wanted more theme-specific embellishments for this layout. These photos, it's about a Scrabble game. It's about, more specifically, me winning a Scrabble game twice in a row. Anyway, here are the embellishments I've selected. Now, some of them were part of my kit, like those titles and enamel dots, but the other ones I made with my stamps and my dies. And often, if I don't have embellishments to go with the theme of my layout, I take 5 minutes maximum to have a quick peek at my tools, and I pull out anything that could possibly support my theme. And that pink basket there, that is what I have. I don't end up using all of it, but my idea is just with an open mind, go through my tools. I'm going to talk about that a bit later on because I find a lot of times scrapbookers just don't profit from their tools like they can. Anyway, now we're having a look at the sketch. That's what we'll be doing today, and I'm going to be using that as my left-hand page, and I plan on stretching it to the right. Now you can see the sketch is in the top right-hand corner, and I'm going to start off by doing something that's not even on the sketch. What you see me cutting right now with that wood grain paper are 2 large pieces. It's almost going to be like a mini foundation page. I'm going to be placing it underneath those 3 strips of paper, the 3 widest strips of paper that you see in the middle of the sketch. And that's what you see me cutting right now with this blue paper. So I'm cutting that down. I'll be cutting 6 strips because I want 3 for the left page. That's the page you see on the screen, or the sketch you see on the screen, and 3 for the right page where I will be stretching the sketch to. Now I'm putting measurements for everything I'm cutting on the screen, and what I end up doing is I stop the film and I cut 6 more very narrow strips, and those are the strips that you see on top of the wider strips that are on the sketch. Now my plan at this point is to use the navy blue, the wide strips, and the narrow strips on top would be the checkered paper. Now it's just 2 sides of the same paper. You're going to see later on, however, when I adhere it, I do change things up a little bit. So I'm just giving you an idea right now how I plan to place this. And now what I'm going to do is start cutting these down, because if you look at the sketch, you can see that the lengths of these strips are all different. So again, I'm putting measurements for what I'm doing on the screen. And for these narrow strips, the checkered strips, I am cutting those about a ½ inch longer than the wider strips that are underneath it. Now the strips of paper that will be on the right-hand page, I made them all the very same length, all 6 strips, the wide ones and the narrow ones. And they are, I think, 10 3/4 inches long each, but like I said, the measurements for what I'm doing will be on the screen. So I get all that done, and now what I'm going to do is start adhering it. So I'm adhering it to the foundation page. It's a little bit more towards the bottom. Basically, that wood grain paper is 2 inches up from the bottom and 2¼ inches from the top. And now I'm adhering those strips of paper down, and the blue strips of paper are 3/4 of an inch from the edge of the wood grain paper. So here you can see I've changed things up a bit. I ended up with the middle strip, putting it the checkered side up. For the narrow strips of paper, I'm just snipping the ends with this punch. It's called Lovely Label Pickup Punch. It's a new punch, or a new-ish punch from Stampin' Up. It's certainly new to me. It was part of my scrappy stash that I wanted to use up. That was material that I haven't used yet. So I ended up using it, so that's good. I stopped the film, I adhered the right-hand side, and I showed you the back side of that. You can see I put washi tape there, and basically that was just so that I could easily line up these strips of paper. I also showed you the back side of those photos, and that is because when the camera was off, I ended up backing each photo with 2 layers of scrap cardstock, and I did that simply to raise up the photos a bit off of that foundation page. Kind of like foam adhesive, but not as thick. Now you see me cutting down a narrow border. I'm creating a narrow border for the far right of this layout. It's not on the sketch, I'm adding it. I felt like it was missing something there, almost like something that indicates the layout finishes here. So I'm making that with 2 strips of paper, 2 narrow strips of paper, red and blue. Together they measure about 1 inch. I didn't adhere it quite yet. Now what I'm going to do is cut out my journaling box. So I'm getting out my Gemini Junior, and what I'm going to do is use that die there. It's from Elizabeth Craft Designs. It's part of her Planner Essentials series. I absolutely love it. I've been using it a lot lately. It's great for layering and obviously great for journaling. That's why I wanted that lined paper so I could do my journaling on it. So I'm running it through. You're going to see what it looks like. And now I'm just going to place it on my page, and you'll see kind of where I'm going with that. And after that, what I want to do is start establishing my title. Now this is going to be really the beginning of my embellishment process, and I will be talking about my tools throughout this, but the first tool I want to bring out are my nesting square dies, and I selected 2 of them, and what I'm going to do is I just cut one of them out on camera, but you're going to see in a minute I cut a whole bunch of them out in the red, blue, and in the wood grain. Most of it is with one of the squares, the biggest one that has a slight scalloped edge. I don't know if you can see it on the screen. And what I cut out in the wood grain is a little bit smaller, and it's a straight edge. So as you can see, I've taken my title, Scrabble Night, and adhered it to those squares. The ones with the wood grain actually have either blue or red paper underneath with the fine scalloped edge. Now, my original plan was to use some alphas from Pink Fresh Studio. I'm going to show you them in a minute. But if you look at them closely, they actually have almost a little bit of a bluish tinge, I guess kind of a cold white, and the paper is more of a warm white. So I ended up using those dies, which are from Stampin' Up, really old ones. They're called Perfect Print Alphas. And I cut out my letters with the white paper, the same that's in the foundation page. Also, when the camera was off, I adhered that border to the far right. And what I did was I removed the washi tape because it was getting kind of annoying. I'm pointing out on the sketch the arrows. Basically, instead of the arrows, I'm using those letters. Again, it's obvious why that's an important part of my embellishment process, because it's about a Scrabble game. So I went through my tools and I was looking for anything that could possibly indicate Scrabble or a game. And I came across those stamps that I'm showing you now from Close to My Heart. I've never used them. I paid $2 for them secondhand. And you can see there's all kinds of these squares with square type expressions on them. They're actually quite funny. But to me, when I think of Scrabble, obviously I think of letters, but I also think of blocks because it's all made up of those tile blocks. So I went for those stamps. What the heck? Also in my tools, I found this bundle. It's called Starburst Sayings or something like that. Really, really old, but the circles reminded me of kind of like winner medallions. Now, Oh Happy Day doesn't say winner, but to me, I was happy. I had just won Scrabble. twice. So that worked for me. And then I picked out these star dies. That was perfect. They are stitched star dies. They are in the Stampin' Up! Catalog now. So stars are great for anything winning and game related. I selected it with the gold paper. I made it with the gold paper because I knew I was going to be using that title collection that I just showed you, and that had kind of the same gold. So that's why I selected the gold. And basically I made all of those embellishments while I was watching a video. Actually, I was watching Janet from RTS Scrapbooking on Patreon, which is somebody I've been following all month. So it was just kind of super fun and relaxing making these embellishments. And now I have a pile of embellishments, and that's what you see me doing right now. Basically, I'm creating a large embellishment cluster kind of around the word night there and up along the side of that journaling box. And then what I'll do is I'll create another embellishment cluster, not as big, in the opposite like kitty corner, basically the top left along that side there. And that is often the areas where I create embellishment clusters when I create this type of layout, which is really kind of a long stretched out layout. So it's almost like a diagonal design, but one of them is significantly larger, the bottom right, and it kind of snakes around two corners there, or around one corner, two sides. I'm also getting out those gold expressions there, and I was thinking of two of them, and I end up going with the one that says enjoy the ride or enjoy your ride. I thought it was kind of funny because I've been playing Scrabble against my husband for 25 years and he almost always wins. So it's kind of funny that I won twice in a row. We only play about once a year. But anyway, as you can see, I'm adhering all of this to the page right now, and Chester has decided to join me at this point. Some of these embellishments I backed in cardstock and added a bit of foam adhesive, and I'll point out which ones. Basically that medallion that says, oh, happy day, a few of the stars, and one of those blocks that's going to go on the left-hand page. It says a chip off the old block. Anyway, I like to add dimension to some of the embellishments when I make these huge embellishment clusters. It just makes them more interesting to look at. So you're going to see I start adhering my title at the bottom, and the title at the bottom is also backed with cardstock, so I'm going to pop that up on foam adhesive as well. And then I stop the film and I continue adhering the title, especially that one at the bottom that says enjoy the ride. Those are really, really straight letters, so I had to really focus to get those down straight. And when I turn off the camera, I'm also going to adhere that title to the top of the page. You can see I have done that already, and it spans across the two pages. That's actually flat on the top of the page, but in the still photos at the very end, you're going to see that I popped them up a bit. I took them off and I added foam adhesive behind that as well, simply because, like I said, the title on this layout really does have a decorative impact on the page because it's about letters and words and square tiles, right? So it kind of is an important part of the embellishment process here. So I'm adhering the photos down on the left-hand page, and you can see I'm basically following the sketch there, and then I'm just going to add a few embellishments to the left-hand side. Now, going back to these embellishments and looking through my tools. Now, these aren't game night specific embellishments, obviously. I mentioned earlier in the video that when I look through my tools, I really have to look through them with an open mind. Well, the letters and the square dies, that was quite obvious for Scrabble, but the other ones, oh, happy day, the medallion, I had to think, winner, it looks like a winner's medal. And the same thing for those blocks that have these funny little expressions on them, like you rock the block and it's hip to be square. Anyway, I thought they were kind of funny. This is kind of a tongue-in-cheek type layout. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. All I did after was I simply stamped what happened in the top of that journaling box in that little tab, and I did my journaling, of course, and you saw I started by putting two enamel dots over on the left-hand side, and I ended up adding a third one on the right side, and that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to Scrapbooking Quebec, I would be absolutely thrilled if you did. And also, don't forget to check out the other participants. Their links are in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching and have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.